Hello. In this video, we're going to take a look at Incyte Arc and some of the options for recording data with Incyte Arc using ArcAir or the sensor itself. So in this case, I have our demo unit right here, and I'm going to click into this, and let's see what we got. So right now I'm communicating with the demo unit on a wired connection, and there's two places that we can go to actually start recording data. So let's take a look at each place. So the first place we can look is on this chart function here, and I'm going to click on that. And when I do, I can immediately start seeing my trend lines for cell density, for conductivity, and for temperature. So if I click Start up here, it's going to give me a pop-up name, and this batch name we're going to call Test, and it's measuring every 6 seconds. I'll leave the log file as it is. Let's give it a path, and in this case, I'm just going to export to my desktop here. So we will do that, and let's say Start. So with that, every 6 seconds, I will begin to capture data off my cell density sensor. And right now, I don't have this in a bioprocess, so nothing extremely exotic is happening. It's not moving around much. The other things that you want to note here is I can put a mark 0 point when I start my process. And when I do that, it's going to include a note down here at that measurement point when I mark 0. And then I'm going to say inoculate. And so I can say inoculation here. And these notes that you're seeing with each point will be included in the data. So let's let that run for a bit. And I'm going to go over to the other place where we can actually see how to record data. So if I go under settings here, there is a tab here called sensor data logging. This allows me to capture data on the sensor itself. So it gives me a record name, and I'll call that test 2, and it's giving me a recording rate in every 6 seconds, so I can change that as needed. And there's a couple notes here. So there's manual, start, stop, start recording with inoculation, and start recording with next power up. So these are fairly self-explanatory. Start recording with inoculation is when I hit the inoculation button that you saw over on the chart function, and start recording with next power up is tied to the PC and or laptop that I'm running this software on, so I can use that as well. Most of the time, customers are comfortable just using manual start stop, and this can be started right here. And it says, do I want to reset the inoculation? I'm going to say no. And in this case now, I'm recording data on the sensor itself. So we can let that run for a bit. So when I start these log functions, I'll notice a little log icon up here with my cell density sensor. So I get some notes that are going on there that there's some activity that's occurring. So with that being said, let me go back to my chart function here. And let's go and hit export here. And that's going to export the data to my desktop. That's the place where I chose to save it. And I'm going to pull up what a log file looks like here. So it's in Excel. And here I can see my log file, test. I can see the date, the sampling time, some notes here about my ArcAir configuration, and sensor serial number and such. And I can go down here and start seeing my actual conductivity, permittivity, cell density, temperature readings, and all my F-scan data here. So that's all captured as we see it here. So that's my log file there. So then I can use this data as needed to create graphs or look at trends if I'm actually doing an experiment. So now let's go back to settings. And the other place where I can log data is on the sensor. And before I stop this, I want to get a few more points. But there is something to be noted. I have some limits to how much data I can record on the sensor. And if you're curious about that, we have a knowledge base article on that. So I'll pull that up. It's called Data Logging Options for Incyte Arc Cell Density Sensors. It talks about both methods here. And there's a convenient graph here and basically it tells me the record rate in seconds and how much time I can actually record on the sensor. So this is limited to the internal storage that's on the sensor itself. So you can see the max record time here. Every 6 seconds, it gives me 13 hours of data. Every 10 seconds, every 15, every 30 seconds. So if you're doing a fairly long run, you want to think about moving out the record rate for the sensor if you're going to capture that data on the sensor itself. You don't want to run out of time during your experiment and have missing data and have to start things all over again. Or you just capture it in ArcAir. The beauty of capturing it on the sensor itself here is I can start up multiple sensors, as many that are needed to run my experiments, capture all the data in the sensor head, and then go back and download it at a later time. I'm not relying on a PC in ArcAir itself. Let's hop out of this. Let's go back and say stop. And let's export my log data. And there's a note here, export data can take up to 12 minutes. So, and file has been exported to this file location here. So I'm going to go over and pull this off. Let me take that off screen here. And there we go. I tracked down the file. I'm going to click open here. And there we go. So this is what the data looks like when I captured on the sensor itself. This looks very much like we would find with traditional Arc pH or Visiform sensors or other Arc products. So I can see it's somewhat similar to what I captured on the computer. I don't get my my various frequencies for F-scan, but I do get the date, the culture time, connectivity, permittivity, cell density, and temperature. I also get the status here. So, so this is all quite helpful as well. So 2 ways that you can capture data for Incyte Arc. And I'm going to, last but not least here, I'm going to stop here and disconnect and back to my main screen. So 2 ways to capture data, and please let me know if you have questions. Refer to the knowledge base article is very helpful as well. Thanks.